And hello, everybody. I'm sorry that I'm not allowed to do pre-stream music anymore, but I think I got like 3 or 4 copyright claims on my January 6th day, and it like literally said something to the effect of the what was it again? Royalty-free, um, fair use music has been claimed, etc. So, I mean, that's cool. Let's see here. So window capture. I don't know. For some reason, uh, I don't know. OBS really hates Brave. I don't know if that's just because Brave is like a censorship-free platform or whatever, or more private. But it always has a lot of trouble showing Brave for some reason. I don't know. That's kind of neither here nor there. So, hello everybody. We're here to celebrate the inauguration of anti-President Biden and the beginning of the Avignon presidency. It's too bad. Is there an Avignon, Florida? If there is, Trump should go and like sit there for the next decade or so. So I mean, let's just take a second and celebrate this. So we have a man who's basically in a continual, I don't know if we want to say coma, who's just like barely holding on to life, who's going to be the next president. And then you have Kamala, who's a mommy dictator, who's also rabidly anti-white, who's LARPing as a race she clearly isn't, and who was a former cop. So, like, that's what we have to look forward to when she becomes president. So, I mean, that's cool. But we have Richard Spencer in part to thank for this. I've been seeing some people go, Biden's based. Biden is like, I don't like saying cope anymore because I think it's kind of like a douchey, gaslighting thing to say. But I have seen some cope about the Biden presidency. This is going to be like really, really fucking shit. I might take callers later, but unfortunately, I don't have Twitter anymore because I got banned from Twitter for posting "hope not hate." Literally, what I got banned for. But well, that was my like third account or whatever. I'm sure like one account was banned because it got hacked, and another was banned because I was posting too much about the American election. So I gotta say, I think it was brave of America. See, I thought the first like female was probably going to be either a white or black woman, but they decided to elect an Indian woman as the first VP. I guess that's kind of brave. Maybe, I don't know. But we have an hour and a half left for some sort of plan to trigger. If anybody knows any, I just having C-SPAN on the background. It's kind of hard, like I said, when my Twitter's banned to really get too many information. If any of you are in my Discord, please, and you see any news or updates, please let me know, and we will deal with that. I'll make sure to read them out on air. Let's see here. I'm just making sure that I have this shared on all the appropriate social media. But remember, guys, Biden is based. To be fair, I haven't seen too many people who said that, but yeah. I just like to say that for those of you here, please pray for President Trump. He's a man, I think, who actually became a better person as a result of running for office, and I think he's become a better person as time goes on. And I find that's really rare that someone who enters politics comes out, in my opinion, better than when they went in. But that's just kind of the way it is, and I hope he does find salvation. I can't read into the hearts of men. I don't know how much Trump believes in Jesus. If it's just, I think regardless of Trump's personal religious views, he does view Christianity as being integrally American and as a very important part of the country. So I pray that he has a conversion experience and finds salvation with the Lord, as I do with all people. I think that's something. Yeah. So it's just it is what it is, I guess. Just sharing this on social media. No prayers for Baked. I don't know. Fuck Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska is Baked Alaska is a huge liability. I will say this though. I've become a big unironic Nick fan. It's not. Let's see here. So, Trump, say what you will about him, but he was the most pro-life president in American history, probably by a significant margin, if we're going to be honest. So he'll always have my gratitude for that. Let's see. Who's asking if they can join me? Fritz is asking to join me. Okay, sure, Fritz, you can come on. Let me just go to my stream server so we won't have randoids joining. Let me just send you an invite on Discord. Okay, Fritz, I sent you an invite on Discord. I had a thought the other day, and this is really fucking scary. The two most famous, prominent Catholics in the world are now Joe Biden and Bergoglio. Just think about that for a minute. And just before Fritz gets on, I just want to have a brief rant about Bergoglio. Bergoglio continues to reach new lows. He is such a snake. I think maybe the thing I hate the most about him is he's such a passive-aggressive fucking woman in the way he does statements. They're always like implausible deniability. It's always like some equivocal thing where if he gets called on it, he's like, I didn't technically condemn all Trump supporters. I didn't technically say I supported illegal immigration. That was like an extremely strong implication, but I didn't actually do it, so you can't criticize me for that. And there's stuff like that. So he came out, from my understanding, I can't read his things, they're too cringe. He condemned, like Trump, he condemned the Capitol attack. Of course, he supported Black Lives Matter. And it's just like, so he's throwing the most pro-life president in American history under the bus for something that there's not direct evidence that he did, versus a group of lawless thugs that burned down cities and looted stuff. So, like, that's just the way he is. And I would say this, and I posted this on Facebook, and I think it irritated some people, but if Bergoglio was at if Bergoglio was at Christ's trial, he would have been one of the loudest voices shouting for Barabbas. That's just the kind of man that he is. And like, people still try to defend him, and it's embarrassing. Like, I don't even want to say I'm a Catholic when I'm talking to people online, because it's so fucking embarrassing to have this man as the leader. Like, if he had any kind of respect or dignity, what he would do is just say, I don't comment on American politics. Or just, if Trump says something pro-life, just talk about that maybe. And talk about, I don't know, just make some generic statements. I don't think there's anything wrong with him just trying to stay out of domestic politics. But he doesn't do that. He does this like passive-aggressive like bullshit. So I don't know. I just had to take a shot at Bergoglio because I can't fucking stand him. It's funny because even some of like the nicest, sweetest people I know, like, are. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, "Yeah, he's going to be in purgatory till Judgment Day, if not going to hell." Um, oh, is that you, Fritz? Hey, man.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Good
Let me know if
morning.
Fritz is coming in. Okay. How you holding up, man?
Well, I think I shed a tear because despite all my still objections to the concepts of American democracy, I replied to Nick Fuentes, who kind of relented and said, thank you, President Trump. And I just said, it was nice having a president who didn't seem to actively hate the people he governed.
No, and I know I keep saying that, but I think it is really, really important
Hmm.
because I don't think Biden hates the American people like as much as I think Kamala does. I think Kamala fucking
Oh yeah,
thinks they're
yes.
garbage. I don't
I
think
don't
Biden
really
does.
know. I don't even because the thing is, like, I don't know what Biden's own personal faith or views are because he's just so old. But like, I mean, I pray that he, as unlikely as it may be, miracle. I do believe in miracles, and I pray that he has a change of heart and
I
his
I think
administration
Biden
tries.
is actually probably he does believe in Catholicism. Um,
Mhm.
I
But
think
he's a child of Vatican II.
yeah. Um, I think he actually is at least somewhat devout. To be honest, I don't know that if that makes it better or worse. I think it kind of makes it worse because it's
Yeah, he should.
bearing.
Because the thing is, he should know better.
Because I think it's bearing false. Is it would it be bearing false witness or um
Uh,
miss?
he's
It's
a, he's somebody in a position of great power and authority that actively, yeah, I would say so.
because I think misrepresenting um God uh as will is really bad. But
Hmm.
my friend Serp, who unfortunately I don't think can be on because he works. He's a cuck
Hmm.
who works for a living. Um, Actually,
Hmm.
I kind of have a job now. I do contract work, but I can do
Oh,
that
nice.
whenever. I mean,
I,
it's not enough to live on, but I mean, it's something.
mhm. You need to get your autism bucks.
I do get
Uh,
EI. I get unemployment insurance.
oh, okay. I unfortunately my contract job ended. Like this is my
Oh,
little rant about needing. So like I quit my job at the factory. Uh, that I absolutely hated that job, but it was like solid work and solid pay. But is like I need something that I can build a career on. And so they're like, hey, here's a contract job that we say it will initially give you something like 15 to 20 hours a week, and then probably after after the new year we can bump it up to like hope maybe a full-time 40 hours a week. And it was like doing something, it was like helping translate documents, or it was editing translated documents to make them fit the original and make sure all the English was right. And it paid pretty well, but the thing is
do you
they
speak
gave me a
another
total.
language?
No, and you didn't need to, because it's
Oh,
like
okay.
they have a team that translated technical documents from like Korean or Chinese to English or vice versa, and you just had to edit them. And the problem is, they gave me a total of 2 hours of work for the entire time I've worked there,
Oh, that's shit.
and then like they never came back. And like I had a Zoom meeting with them, like back at the end of September, and they're like, okay, here's like here's me and another person that was doing a similar same job, like, and our my supervisor saying like, okay, let's just like help you learn how to do this job more. And like then they never gave me any work. And I emailed them a few weeks ago saying, hey, can I still consider myself under contract? And she was like kind of upset, and she's like, I'm so sorry, but apparently like she almost got reprimanded for even hiring people on, because I'm guessing they didn't have enough work, and so it's like, oh, now they're gonna hire more people, we can't afford that. So that really sucks. So uh I'm trying to figure out what to do now.
I mean, it's shit out there. Like, I've kind of given up for the foreseeable future and trying to get another job. Well, I mean, I'll still apply to things, but I'm
Hmm.
just working on my master's degree, and I'll probably do like 20 to 30 hours a week of contract work, which I mean is something. It's at
I
least
mean,
in my field.
I have been planning on getting my degree back, but I think if I can't find something by this summer, around the time when COVID stuff finally starts ending, um, I if it ends, I'd like to go back to college to. I'd like to go get my master's as well because it's actually a much easier process than I had initially thought, and because my dream job would be to work as a museum archivist, and it's
Hmm.
just trying to figure out, is that a viable career option at this moment. And so I'd like to have some sort of backup. I mean, thankfully I have a huge amount of money saved up, and I don't, and the only thing is, like, my dad is retiring at the end of the year, I and like basically, and well, they want me to move out within the next couple months, which is fair because I want to move out.
Yeah, I'm moving
But yeah.
back in with my parents at the end of the month. I just can't
Mhm.
really justify going through my savings. It's sad, but I mean, a lot of people are in a really bad position, and I don't know if this is going to get worse. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Um,
Mhm.
they've gone into another like fuller lockdown in Ontario for at least a month, but we have
Mhm.
like they completely fucked up the vaccines. So it's kind of funny. So my parents are the primary care provider for my grandparents. So they were the
Mhm.
first in line to get vaccines.
Mhm.
But so you're supposed to, I think you were initially supposed to get the vaccine 2 weeks after the second dose, after 2 weeks after the first dose. But what wound up happening is they don't have any, so they keep moving it back. So, like, okay, you have to get it within 2 weeks. Okay, now you have to get it within 20 days. Okay, now you have to get it within, and they just keep like shifting the when you have to get it by. So
Mhm.
it's just, I don't know. This whole thing is just so full of people being unwilling to say that they don't know something. And I kind of get that they don't want
Mhm.
to cause panic, but it looks really bad whenever they like say something and say people are mentally ill, and then it turns
Yeah,
out like the people were
that,
right.
that's the thing, is that, like, okay, I believe that vaccines in general work. I don't think they cause autism. I don't believe any of that. I'm just thinking is that people should still, especially for a vaccine that was rolled out as relatively quickly as this one, um, like saying, people should be allowed to at least ask questions without being basically people saying you're an awful person and a conspiracy theorist and probably a Nazi if you even ask a question. It's like, for all their victories, I still think the left has a massive problem of marketing. Because let's take climate change for example. Like, for like what, 30 years or something, basically there was a very I mean, the fact that it even turned into a partisan issue was proof that it was marketed so horribly. Is that it's you have this issue that's like, okay, this is a pressing issue that we believe will affect the whole world, and the fate of the human race, and it's like, okay, very simple. Carbon emissions are contributing to a warming climate, and if we don't reduce them, very bad things are going to happen. I don't know how on earth they made it so. Not only did they not convince everybody to get it on board with at least trying to do something, they managed to create an entire block of people that said, "We hate you and we think you're an evil Chinese plot." Like, I mean, they like what was like if I was in charge of that marketing of trying to sell the idea of fighting climate change, you know what I would have gotten to do to be the spokesperson? Actual scientists, not TV hosts and autistic teenagers. Like,
Well,
I don't.
yeah. I mean, the
Go ahead.
thing is, like, sorry, I just want to talk about the vaccine for a minute.
Sure.
So I actually do support mandatory vaccines. I get why they have to
Yeah.
prevent strains from coming back and mutating. I get that there's a certain percentage of the population. It's a very, very small amount that will have negative reactions, but that's just kind of the reality of government. Is that you have to make choices, and sometimes, and almost always, someone's gonna die or someone's gonna have something bad. It just kind of goes with it. But the fact that people are
Ah,
being sorry.
sorry, an evil witch and a necromancer are walking down the stairs.
Hmm. But the thing is that the fact that people are just like, look, I have some doubts about this vaccine because it was rushed through at a really short period of time. They haven't, I mean, they've tested it, but we don't know what the long term side effects are. We don't know about any of this sort of thing. And those people are called like mentally ill and evil and conspiracy theorists. That makes me suspicious because it's like my mother was nervous about getting it, and she's like the furthest thing from a conspiracy. She's like, I don't know, this thing was just rushed, and we have like 4 or 5 different vaccines, and I don't know like how different they are, and it's just yeah.
Hmm. Somebody said that they only need Biden alive for a few more hours. What would happen technically if right before he's sworn in, he's because hasn't Trump has left the office already? So, like, who's president if Biden just
I think
somehow?
Kamala just becomes president.
Okay.
I don't know if they both get impeached. The speaker becomes president. I think.
Well, honestly, that could be even worse because Nancy Pelosi is such an evil. Well,
Oh,
there most of these people are. Although, okay, Chuck Schumer. I mean, especially since he's from my state, I think I especially despise. I and he did say he was like he literally did say he was a soldier for Israel at one point or something. But I mean, he's a veritable walking stereotype for a reptilian.
I know there are people that his nickname people have given him is Chuck U. Schumer, which I think is
Mhm.
pretty funny.
Chuck Coomer.
No,
No,
Chuck
but
U. Schumer. Here,
it's
guys,
really
I'm gonna put
sad
up
because
some pictures of rain to make this slightly less depressing.
Rain for president.
Yeah,
It, it's I'm working on a video right now. I'm still thinking over it in my head as just because I recently rewatched all the Lord of the Rings movies and I watched all the behind the scenes. Um, and I kind of want to make a video just reflecting on the movies because they are my favorite movies of all time.
oh no, they're fucking
And
great movies.
the thing is that like I kind of feel like they're in a similar position to the books, where they were kind of the last things of an era of Lord of the Rings was kind of the last works of somebody that grew up in a time before World War One and before modernity started really taking over, and the movies were still kind of made in an era when there was not full cynicism yet, and that they're the last of the great film epics. They're the last of something like The Wizard of Oz and the original Star Wars, where 82 years later, people still love The Wizard of Oz. 44 years later, people still love Star Wars, and 20 years later, people still love Lord of the Rings. And I was asking people on Twitter, like, do people actually like rewatch the Avengers movies? Because I can't imagine doing that every year.
I can't even like watch them once. They're fucking horrible. Like,
The thing is, like, the only ones I've seen, I saw the original Iron Man, Iron Man 2, the first Avengers movie, and Captain America, and I'm like, how does anybody like Tony Stark? Like, nothing about his character makes him anything more to me than like an unlikable, despicable asshole. Like, I really hate Tony Stark, and I also really despise Robert Downey Jr.
the,
I think.
yeah, sorry, just a side. So the thing about the Lord of the Rings movies is they were kind of made at the perfect time because it was
Yes.
before pause had infected it, but it was when you had the special effects to
And
be
they
able to
weren't
do it.
enough to make the entire movie in special effects because Peter Jackson still loved all the miniatures and they used every trick in the book. Where I know there's kind of a backlash of people now kind of like the prequels, but still visually, like, there's somebody who said that the prequels way overused CG and it looked too sterile and not real, whereas Lord of the Ring, the only problem is that like there are still some shots in Lord of the Rings, especially like kind of like far away shots. I really noticed this one of at the end of at the end of the Return of the King, at the Battle of the Black Gate, when the orcs are running away, like those kind of faraway shots, they look like video game characters of the time. They did not look good. But I was thinking about this is that I think if for people that have never seen the movie and ones that grew up with Game of Thrones and a lot of modern stuff, I don't think it would play to a modern audience because a lot of people would be like, "What this is cheesy. This is corny. You know, this is like there isn't sex, there isn't like extreme graphic violence. Like, what is this with like heroes trying to save the world?"
I think the thing I like the most about Lord of the Rings is you really get the impression everyone was having a blast making it.
Oh yeah, yes.
Like the cast all seemed to genuinely like each other, and everyone seems like they were having a lot of fun. Like it didn't feel like just a paycheck for anyone involved.
Oh no, because like you watch interviews of like on about other movies, either like as promotional material or like behind the scenes, and like so many of the actors, like it's kind of hilariously awkward because they're trying to sell the idea that they cared about this when they didn't care at all about what they were doing. But like so many of the people making the movies were like massive fans of the books and like gave it 110%, and like you didn't have any of the massive ego stuff you get with somebody like Tom Cruise or something. And like everyone, and you know, I think that's kind of credit to the producers and the directors that like managed to hold all of this together.
Yeah, just people are asking. No, I'm not gonna watch the new Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. I know
I
people
have
want me to.
no idea why anybody. I mean, no movie's perfect, but like those movies are probably as close to a perfect adaptation as you can possibly get.
No, it's more I just even to review them, I'm not gonna
Oh yeah.
watch them. But I don't know if anyone sees. I put up a Lord of the Rings Biden meme on screen that I thought was pretty funny. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's I don't know. I refuse to watch the Hobbit movies just because they're so long and they look like such shit.
They're the literal opposite of the good decisions that made Lord of the Rings, and they're not bad, but it's just in comparison because the thing is with the original Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson said like when they were initially working with Miramax, and they initially said or Peter Jackson said we're going to try and make this two movies, and Miramax said we want you to condense all of this into one film, and he said that's impossible, and so they had to find somebody else, and thankfully they managed to get it to three movies, and even then people said they weren't enough, so they released the extended version, whereas they kind of realized that we want another trilogy with The Hobbit, and we want to put in all of this other stuff from Middle Earth because we can't use these actors ever again. Because sadly, since then, Christopher Lee has passed away, and they're all
late
so
great
old now.
Christopher Lee. I love Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like he apparently said that he reread the Lord of the Rings books every year, and he was based. He fought in the Finnish army in the Winter War.
Christopher Lee, I call him unironically the Supreme Gentleman.
Oh yes.
He was just such a great dude.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see here. I know as far as movies go, I mean, if the industry's dead, I still just want to see the Dune movie. That's really the only movie I kind of care about at this point. They're not going to make another Blade Runner movie, which I would like, but
I've never seen the original or the new one, and I saw your review of the new one, and it was basically you just saying this is like the ultimate cinematic experience.
yeah, the original was a lot better than I remember it being, rewatching it. But yeah, I guess maybe just getting back to the inauguration. It's I was watching Nick Fuentes, so he was talking about it and he was giving his version of Trust the Plan because Nick also says that. So he was just like, the plan is that there's not a lot we can do at the moment. So what we need to do is we just need to be ready. We need to get in shape. We need to get our shit together. We need to learn skills. We need to get into
Hmm.
important jobs in the government and private sector. Learn to use weapons. Just build local groups. Just there's nothing we can do at the moment, but things are moving quickly, and who knows where America is going to be by the end of the Biden presidency. So
Whether
that's just
that's,
kind of it at the moment.
a few days. Well, at the end of the Biden presidency, whether that's 4 years or 5 days. But
Right, but
I
like
mean,
things are moving really quick.
those are just showed the justices that Trump appointed. That that a lot of good that did for him.
Okay,
I mean, the thing is,
sorry, one more thing. Kami Catcher makes a really good point. No one is doing social distancing.
nope.
Like, look, they're not so. Okay, I'm just gonna whatever. I'm just gonna call out. None of the journalists are. Um, they're all like directly. Look at
Uh,
that.
uh, elderly George W. Bush isn't even doing it.
Look at it. It's fucking science. The chairs are way further apart whenever I'm allowed to go to church.
Hmm.
Um, well, I'm not allowed to go to church, so uh,
I can, but they still have all the social. They still can only have like up to 30. No, it's 25% capacity.
you aren't even allowed to go at all in
Oh.
Ontario, which
Mhm. Oh, did you? Speaking of religion, apparently yesterday Richard Dawkins accidentally tweeted out a G.K. Chesterton quote, and people are like, "You did know he was a Catholic, right?"
right.
Maybe he's fearing because at the end of his life, that would be lovely if he converted. Oh,
Swagger
another
Kyogre
traitor.
says they got the vaccine, Arjun, and you should too. Yeah, but the vaccine doesn't matter. Like because they say, oh, you still have to wear a mask and do everything else if you have it because you can still spread it. And it's just like, okay, then what's even the point? Like, I still think that I had COVID last year. In that
Hmm.
so I looked it up. The tests have like a 40% false negative rate or something. So who even knows?
Hmm. So Trump's going to Florida, or is he going to Florida or New York?
Florida. I mean,
Okay.
if you look at the election, his home state is listed as Florida now, and they're trying to
Okay.
demonize it. So they're like what was it again? Oh, Trump's going to his golf course. He's going to go and be surrounded by far right people, and he's just gonna like, and they're just really shitting on him. But it's, uh, yeah, I don't know. It's so petty. I don't get
The
why the
whole
guy
this
doesn't deserve a vacation.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean he's probably under because when you watched all his stuff, I think what happened on January 6th kind of broke him. I because his tone really kind of changed after that, and like he hasn't really talked about the election being stolen or anything. It's very sad.
I don't think we'll ever know what happened behind the scenes. Um,
Other than we were there on election night and we saw what happened, and like how the percentage of the votes started going down for some reason.
well, I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, like, was there some talk of a coup from one side or another? Like, just what kind of stuff happened off the out of the background? So we'll probably never know, or we might in a decade or so. It'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if something else um, happened.
Hmm.
So
I mean, yeah, but I watched your review of Shield Hero.
mhm.
If there's nothing else to talk about right now, and I think It does make me interested because to me it doesn't seem like an isekai. It seems like just a general fantasy. Because for me, isekai, there has to be somebody coming from one world to another, and for some reason, I always just find that really annoying. Like even the show Konosuba, which is just a complete
No,
comedy.
Shield Hero is very much that. That's actually kind of a major plot point that the other heroes think it's a video game.
Oh, okay. But have you ever seen Spice and Wolf?
No, I haven't seen Spice and Wolf.
It's really good because if I ever make a review, I'm going to make a point that I think it's possibly one of the most realistic depictions of Middle Ages I've seen in any fiction.
I need to do a review of Wise Man's Grandson because that's something I'd say is not isekai. Even though like the main character theoretically comes from our world, but it's like not mentioned ever or important. It is really based because there's a girl he has like a crush on, and he wants to date her, and he like goes and asks her parents permission. They're like, since she's a noble, you have to get engaged to her before we let you date her, and he's like, okay. So,
Have you seen there was a meme where it was like something from one of the extended canon books in Star Wars where apparently Boba Fett killed somebody because they had sex before marriage?
okay, that's based. I'm just gonna turn on the this low in the background and see.
Bush, yeah, George Bush looks so old from when I remember him as president. I mean, obviously, it was like people age considerably. Like Obama looks so much older now.
The presidency really ages people, especially if you look at like Lincoln. Look, Clinton doesn't have it over his nose properly.
But like even I don't want to say the H word, but Hitler. He was in power for 12 years, but like he was massively in horrible health at the end. I don't know if Ivanka's there. I hope not.
Someone asked where's Xi Jinping. It's a good question. I mean, he's
so
basically the
shadow president.
Yeah, at this point.
He's the puppet master.
Someone I was talking to Serp the other day, and he made a point about China's like the worst ally you could have. I think prior to like the late 90s, America was actually a pretty good ally. You just said communism sucked and they gave you weapons and money. And the Soviet and Russia was a pretty good like ally. You just said that capitalism sucked and they gave you weapons, money, and oil. But China like enslaves its allies in debt traps. So it's
the thing is, it's not actually that difficult, even without America, to try and reign in China, because all you have to do is get to get Japan to become a nuclear armed power and have a strong alliance of them, India, South Korea, Taiwan, and Australia.
Serp can't come on because he works during the day.
He's a normie.
Yeah.
My internal clock keeps like going back, making me want to go back to working a night shift because I keep like taking naps during the day, but I know I shouldn't because taking naps makes it so I can't sleep at night. But
okay, so the only thing worse than partisanship is bipartisanship. Because it's basically, if you'll forgive it, it's like getting fucked in two holes at once instead of one. And I really hate how all these people will call each other like evil and call each other like they're ruining the country. And then after that, they'll all like go buddy buddy and hold hands and then try to fuck you over. So.
Yeah, but what was I going to say is, but with China, I mean, Russia should have been like. Bismarck had a quote where he says, "The secret of diplomacy is to make a good treaty with Russia." But yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I think China is. I personally think, and Serp says this too. I think Japan would beat China in a naval war. I think China's extremely incompetent. China just has a lot of money and manpower to throw at problems, but they're kind of retarded. So, like, if China has a war with Russia, I think Russia would win. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Even though China might theoretically have better equipment, like it's that's kind of something communist regimes have. Like North Korea has that, the Soviet Union had it. They just have unlimited resources to throw at problems. So,
Mm-hmm. But even then, like that doesn't last long enough. Especially if you have massive internal problems.
oh, sorry, just to respond, I by Soviet allies, sorry, I was excluding the Eastern Bloc. I meant like Vietnam or the African countries or Cuba or those
that's
kind of things.
That's one sad thing is while we were in Vietnam for years, there was a conflict that we probably should have been invested in, which was the South African border war, where you basically had South Africa alone against communist armed Angola, I think. South Africa was a really nice. I love this. I have a friend on Twitter, Tim Mobo, who's he's an Orthodox Christian and Black Christian in South Africa, and I just kind of asked him, "What do you think of the ANC?" And he said, "I fucking hate it. They're evil. They're evil socialists, and they destroyed our country."
So, no, so just going back to what was I thinking of again? What was I talking about before? Oh yeah, China. I mean, so China, when you get to the point where you're building fake cities, you know your economy's like fucked. Also, China's like master plan relies on the IMF preventing countries from defaulting. It also relies on America not defaulting. If America ever actually goes bankrupt, China doesn't really have an internal market. So like they would just lose, like their economy would collapse overnight. If America wanted to throw like a Hail Mary just to fuck China permanently, they could go blockade the Straits of Malacca and China wouldn't be able to export anything. So I don't know.
Why? So I love this. Oh, Kamala almost tripped on the stairs. So what is it with why is it like in almost every case like racists online love brown girls and then racists white liberal women left-wing women of color always have white boyfriends. Like AOC has a white boyfriend, Kamala Harris has a white husband. I just find that it to be pretty amusing.
I'll probably get a copyright strike for like this music. Yeah. Let's see here. There's these cringe posters. There's cringe posters all over the place in Toronto that say we're all together, just 6 feet apart, which is like one of the G'est things I've ever seen. This isn't Bitchute, so I can't say that word, but
happiest. But yeah, I was thinking more and more about this. Is that the if you could tell the very gullible hippies in the 1960s that the entire it's like sexual liberation basically ultimately means that sex becomes two people masturbating into plastic bags and killing unborn babies. And it's like that's apparently like what free love really is.
I kind of something I hate is like there's a certain percentage of people in these circles who are like, oh, China's based. China has probably the most like extreme abortion policy of any country in human history. I can't think of a country with a more radical abortion policy.
It's like I got back in 2019. I got flack when I made my video on why I supported the Hong Kong protests because, like, I get it. Like, I don't like I don't like, globo homo, you know, I neoliberalism I don't want that to take over the world, but I also don't want China to do it either. So like if something is going to weaken China or neoliberalism, I'll be okay with it. And it was actually like really kind of based when you saw like when the Hong Kong protesters like stormed the parliament and they hung the old British colonial flag. That was pretty base.
Yeah, I kind of wish. Um, I don't know. I made my map of what I wanted the British Federation to be, and it was like Britain, Canada, Malta, um, Hong Kong. They should have kept. They should have established like Palestine for Middle Eastern Christians and kept it as a protectorate.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, and there was another thing I got flack for is I basically said I posted the British and the papal flag basically says these two flags have done more good for the world than anything else because, like, I definitely think that the British, even though I'm Catholic, I certainly believe the British Empire did tremendous amount of good for the world. If nothing else, then
I kind of have
slave
mixed.
trade.
I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, just because my background is primarily, well, culturally and ethnically English.
Me too.
But at the same time, it did spread a lot of pause. So I don't know.
I mean, paused for what, 1850?
Yeah.
But they did like send Christian missionaries out across the world, which was pretty good.
That feel when the Taipings could have won and we could have had Chinese Mormonism.
Oh yeah.
That was the real answer. To be fair, like the Taipings, I support them solely on the basis that they changed the imperial examinations to be about the Bible instead of Confucian classics.
They're the ones that thought that they were led by the brother of Jesus.
Yeah, like I said, they were Chinese Mormons. That and they like killed opium addicts, which was also pretty base.
So they're like Duterte.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons the British sided against them, was because they were so strongly anti-opium. That was, I think, the two worst things the British Empire ever did, was the Opium Wars and what they did to the South Africans.
Mm-hmm. You mean the Boers?
Yes, the Boer republics. How they took those over, I think, was very immoral.
I would also say Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland. Cecil Rhodes was funny, though, because Cecil Rhodes was, well, people say he's gay because he was celibate. But he's just like, I'm too busy conquering the world for Britain to be interested in women.
Look, Oscar Wilde was gay, and he even still had children and a wife, so...
Basically, like a lot of people, a lot of historical figures are called gay because they were celibate. Like Charles Gordon, aka Chinese Gordon, was celibate because he was an evangelical Christian and he could die at any point in time due to his mercenary adventures. So, yeah.
Speaking of mercenaries, I read up on this guy, and I don't know if you've ever read any of Berserk, but I'm pretty sure this guy was the influence for Guts, and it was Getz von Berlichingen. He was like a 15th or a late 15th, early 16th century German mercenary who like basically acted as much of a thug as you could possibly be, and he even had like a metal prosthetic arm that worked. I was like, I don't know much about how muscles work, but I'm fascinated that they actually managed to make a operable prosthetic in the 16th century that actually could like bend the fingers, even though he had lost his arm.
So
yeah, Scutum Fidelis, Oscar Wilde converted to Catholicism towards the end of his life. I think he also escaped to France to avoid the sodomy laws in Britain.
Daily reminder that Margaret Thatcher was one of the few people to vote to decriminalize sodomy of the Conservative Party. Also, that the bill was co-sponsored by so-called based Enoch Powell.
It's. I mean, I do think it was based of her for the Falkland Wars, but ultimately, I don't really like any of the Reagan era conservatives. I think they were a tremendous detriment in the end to the right.
So I don't know how this is actually going to go. Maybe something will happen soon. Yeah.
I hope not. To be, I don't want people to get killed, but
I think if there's going to be an assassination,
Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Dr. Jill Biden.
What?
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I think if anyone's going to assassinate him, I'd say it's like an 80% chance it would be Kamala or the Democratic Party at this point in time, rather than
if something happened, I would bet money that there's like a 99% chance it'd be a false flag.
I don't know. I agree that Trump should have pardoned like Assange, Snowden.
Well, a little late for that.
Yeah, I'm just saying he should have.
Unless he pulls a Grover Cleveland.
And well, Trump's just too old. Let's be honest.
That's true.
I don't mean that as like it's just kind of the truth. Well, it looks like they really got Biden hopped up on something today.
Oh, that would be wonderful if his actual speech is just him being completely crazy and just being angry.
Someone's saying there's something on Kamala's hip.
It's a gun.
Okay, guys, let me know if Fritz is too quiet. I'm turning up the audio a bit because it sounds like something's actually going to happen.
Okay. Why is there a Chinese diplomat right behind Biden? Because I do want to hear what he has to say.
Please welcome the
Are you going to turn the volume up for when he actually speaks?
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear apparently though there aren't any Catholic priests or bishops in attendance, which is a good thing.
Of course.
Like he's going to have like an African Methodist preacher do the prayer. Like I feel really bad for a lot of Protestants because at this point a lot of them basically exist to like worship black people.
Welcome to the 59th presidential inauguration.
Oh,
where in just
I
a
thought
few
that was Laura Bush
moments
for a
Joe
second.
Biden
No, it's
and
Chloe
Kamala
Shire.
Harris will take their solemn oaths.
What are the co-sponsors
This
of the
ceremony
Confiscate Land Bill?
Is the culmination of 244 years of a democracy.
Except for Bill Gates, he gets to have all the
moment when leaders brought to this stage by the will of the people promised to be faithful.
Well, by the
to
will
our
of
Constitution, to cherish it and defend it.
By the will of the force.
When they become, as we all should be,
I mean, I
guardians
guess
of our
like.
country. Have we become
The thing
too
is, that's
jaded,
gonna.
too
I think
accustomed to the
I said this
ritual
on my own
of the
Discord that
passing of the torch of democracy
discounting
to
what happened
truly
on January 6th, this was the best way. If Trump was going to lose, this was the best way to do it. And the fact that you had the vast majority of people who voted for him believe this is all bullshit.
Yeah, Commie Catcher makes a good point. I think Biden's pretty likely to, if he's going to be removed, it's going to be after the 2-term mark, so then Kamala can run for an additional 2 terms and have 10 years.
This is the day when our democracy picks itself up, brushes off the dust, and does what America always does. Goes forward as a nation.
Fuck you,
but,
you hate America and everything it stands for, you cunt.
I can't hear it. Can you turn the volume on? Okay. Oh, wait.
I sent you a link to it if you maybe just watch along.
Yeah, I got it.
Takes place in front of this shining Capitol dome for a reason. When Abraham Lincoln
Rain,
gave
what do
his
you
first
think about
inaugural
this?
address in front of this Capitol,
She's just sitting
the
next to
dome
me.
was only partially constructed, braced by ropes of steel. He promised he would finish it. He was criticized for spending funds on it during the Civil War. To those critics, he replied, "If the people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on."
What the fuck does that mean?
But
the Capitol isn't going on. The Capitol is under military occupation.
By our MIC military. Have you seen the size of some of those
Yeah.
troops?
Legislation to protect civil rights.
It's
and
the exact
economic
fucking
freedom
opposite.
and lead the world.
Everyone
The way
remember
that we crafted
Juneteenth?
under this
Okay,
dome.
anyone who had heard of Juneteenth before last year, could you post in the chat? Because I didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Not
is
as a
either.
weapon of political arson, but as an instrument for good. We pledge today never to take our democracy for granted as we
I love
celebrate its
democracy.
remarkable
I love
strength.
the Republic.
We celebrate its resilience, its grit. We
Oh,
celebrate
okay, people want me to turn it
ordinary
up? Okay.
people doing extraordinary things for our nation.
Biden looks
The
like he either
doctors and
doesn't know
nurses
where
on
he
the front
is,
line of
or
this
he's like, oh
pandemic,
no, I actually
the
have to
officers
do
in
a
the
job now for
Capitol,
4 years.
a new
Okay, people,
generation
let me know if
giving
you should
up
be
hope
able
for
to
justice.
hear
We
them
celebrate new
a
president,
little quieter than
Joe
Fritz.
Biden, who vows to restore the soul of America and cross the river of our divides
I thought
to
she was
a
gonna
higher
about to say
plane.
cross the Rubicon.
And we celebrate our first African American, first Asian American, and first woman vice president.
They actually reference the Asian American thing.
Kamala Harris, who stands on the shoulders of so many on this platform, who have forged the way to this day. When she takes the oath of office, little girls and boys across the world will know that anything and everything is
I
possible.
could be a corrupt, horrible
And in
person
the end,
too.
that is
I don't know,
America.
like, I don't
Our
hate
democracy
Lincoln. I know a lot of
achieves
people
so
hate
much
Lincoln,
good.
but
And today, on these
Bishop Robert
Capitol
Barron absolutely
steps,
loves
and
him
before
for
this
some
glorious
reason.
field of
Yeah,
flags,
I don't know.
we rededicate
Oh, am I too
ourselves
quiet?
to its cause. Thank you.
I don't know. I turned
People
this
say
down
they can't hear.
slightly.
It is now
Hello?
my honor to introduce
Okay.
you the senator.
Okay, there we go. I changed it a bit.
So many others to
Okay.
make this ceremony possible. My friend and the
Can people hear me
chair of
now?
the inaugural
I'm just
committee,
asking chat.
Missouri Senator Roy Blunt.
Oh.
Who the fuck is Roy Blunt? I don't know. Probably some HF. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I should have known when Senator Klobuchar got involved, at least there'd be a touch of snow up here this morning.
They still say I'm low.
Of all
I don't know what I
things
can
we've
do about
considered,
that.
I don't know, like, I've turned you up a lot, so...
A moment ago, but thank you, Senator Klobuchar, and thanks to the other members.
Like, to me, you're like 50% higher than them, so I don't know.
Officially began the
Okay.
59th inaugural
I'll try and
ceremony.
talk lower.
I also want to thank the Joint Committee staff and our partners, particularly our security partners, for the way they've dealt with unprecedented circumstances. When I shared the
You know what's funny? Because Kings didn't really require much in the way of security.
Nope.
this event as
Like, they would go out, like, and just talk to normal people. But the president can't, because people just fucking hate our leadership so much they try to kill them. So...
miraculous because we've done it every 4
Which is
years.
ironic because people don't, when people didn't even have, when the ordinary people don't have a,
This moment during war, during
when
depression,
people don't have a say in
and
their
now
government, they don't
during
seem to hate them as much.
once again,
Like, I remember when I was in Windsor Castle, Queen Elizabeth, they said, like, Queen Elizabeth I would just go out and walk.
we renew our commitment
Mm-hmm.
to our
And like that was a common thing
democracy,
of like the
forging
giving
a
of
more
alms
perfect
was
union.
that they would just have the king go out and
That theme
distribute
for this
food to the
inauguration,
poor.
our determined democracy, forging a more perfect union, was announced by the Joint Committee
And, like,
before the election.
I mean, yeah,
with
you
the
had
belief
like plenty
that
of
the
civil
United
wars, or
States
like
can
you had
only
like even
fulfill its
like one of the
promise
most bloody
and set an example
succession
for
struggles in
others if
English
we are
history,
always
probably the
working
bloodiest, the War of the
to be
Roses.
better
At least they
than
had
we
the
have
common
been.
courtesy to leave the ordinary people in
Constitution
Britain out of it.
established that determined
It was
democracy
mainly
with its
just the
first three
nobility
words,
trying to kill each other.
declaring the people as the source of the government. The Articles of Confederation hadn't done that. The Magna Carta hadn't
Fuck
done
you, the
that.
Magna Carta is cool.
Only the Constitution says.
I
the
fucking
government
hate the
exists
Constitution
because
is
the
cringe.
people are the source
I'm
of the
sorry.
reason it exists. They immediately followed those first three words.
I don't know, I turned this up a lot, so we'll see.
With founders did not say to form a perfect
Mitch
union.
McConnell with his fucking
They
Chinese
did not
agent
claim
wife.
that in our new country nothing would need to be improved.
Wait, he has a Chinese wife?
Fortunately,
Yes.
they understood that always
Okay.
working to be better would be the hallmark of a great democracy. The freedoms
I
we
also
have
hate
today,
this thing where every time during the
nation
election
we
people
have
talk about
today
how we're not actually a democracy,
is
we're a republic, that
not
democracy
here
is
just
mob rule,
because
but
it
then they'll still
happened.
say we love our
and
democracy.
they aren't complete. A great democracy working
Yeah,
through the
for
successes
as
and
Fidel
failures of our
says, for a king
history,
who has everything, what could
striving
possibly
to be
bribe
better
him?
than it had been. And we are more than we have been, and we are less than we hope to be. The assault on our
Oh, no.
capital at this very place just 2 weeks
Oh,
ago
fuck off, you cunt.
reminds us that a government designed to balance and check itself is both fragile and
The
resilient.
thing that
During the last year, the pandemic challenged
How
really
how
kind of
dare the
society and
people
called for
try to
extraordinary
get like their
determination
voices heard?
and sacrifice, and still
the thing that like
challenges us
really
today.
showed it was all
Meeting
the
that challenge
senators and
head-on have
representatives
been
cowering, and
are
somebody just put the
healthcare
caption of
workers,
these are the people that
scientists,
send your sons
first
off to war.
responders, essential frontline workers, and so many others we depend on in so many ways. Today we come to this moment. People all over
Hillary
the
Clinton
world,
looks like
as
she's
we're
gained
here,
a lot
are
of weight.
watching and will watch what we do here.
Probably, I don't know.
Our government comes
Who
together.
cares?
The Congress and the courts join the transition of executive responsibility.
They're saying
One
Trump
political
could
party more
move to
pleased today
Slovenia.
and on
What if he
every
runs for president of
inaugural day
Slovenia?
than
That would be
another.
cool.
But this is not a moment of division.
He creates
it's
the
a moment
trad
of
ethno
unification.
state. in
Maybe
Slovenia.
Melania will
New
run for president of
administration
Slovenia
begins
and then he'll
with
be the
it,
first
a new
dude.
beginning.
Mhm.
And with that, our great national debate goes forward, and a determined democracy will
Oh.
continue to be essential in pursuit of a more perfect union and a better future for all Americans.
Calling the capital a
What a
temple
privilege for
democracy
me
is
to
just
join
straight
you
up
today. Thank
like
you.
violating the first commandment.
Well, it's a temple to Satan, so I mean,
I'm pleased to call to the podium a longtime friend
I mean,
of
it's
the
like
president-elect
again
and
on
his family,
Bishop
Father
Barron.
Leo
Like I don't
O'Donovan,
hate Bishop
to
Barron
lead
at
us
all,
in an
but like
invocation.
he
Please
should
stand
know
if you are
better.
able and remain standing for the national anthem and the pledge to our flag.
I don't even really want to hear that.
I'm just this is boring, so I'm trying to give Rain a nail trim while we're doing this.
Aw.
So you might hear meow. Rain, if you would just hold still, like this would go really easily, and there wouldn't be
You're
any.
not gonna. You're not you don't declaw her, right?
No, I just trim her nails once a week or so.
I think that's really
Gracious
cruel.
and merciful God,
I agree.
Is that
at
a
this
Catholic
sacred
priest?
time we come before you
Yes.
in need,
Oh no.
indeed on our knees. But we come still more with hope, and
Or it
with
could be an
our eyes
Episcopal bishop,
raised anew
priest or
to the
whoever.
vision of a more perfect union in our land, a union of all our citizens to promote the general welfare
Aw.
and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We are a people of many races, creeds, and colors, national backgrounds, cultures, and styles, now far more numerous and on land much vaster than when Archbishop John Carroll wrote his
Okay, yeah,
prayer
it's a Catholic. Oh.
for the inauguration of George Washington.
Do you think that priest is committing,
232 years
mortal
ago.
sin by doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Archbishop
I don't
Carroll
know.
prayed that you, O Creator of all, would assist with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude the President of these United States, that his administration may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to your people. Today we confess our past failures to live according to our vision of equality, inclusion,
Oh, it's the
and
former, yeah.
freedom for all. Yet we resolutely commit still more now to renewing the vision.
How's the audio balance,
To care
guys?
for one
I screwed
another
around
in
with a
word
lot,
and
so
deed,
hopefully it's okay now.
Especially the
I can
least
try and talk a
fortunate
little
among
louder,
us.
but
Well, it's
My
I just
eyes
adjust you.
of
It doesn't
light
really
for
matter
the
how loud
world.
you talk.
There is a
I mean, I have a
power
sore
in
throat
each and
because
every
I-
one of us that
I
lives
threw up yesterday
by turning
because
to every other
I
one
take
of us
medication and it kind of gives me a
trust
stomach
with the
ache, and
spirit
so I
to
was like,
cherish
take my dog
and
for a
care
walk.
and
But
stand by others, and above all, those most in need. It is called love, and its path is to
Okay,
give ever more
people
of
say the
itself.
audio's good.
Okay.
Today, it is called American patriotism, born not of power and privilege, but of care for the common good, with malice toward none, and with charity for all.
Oh, this is so fucking
For
gay.
our new president, we beg of you the wisdom Solomon sought when he knelt before you and prayed for
You know,
an
I think
understanding
America
heart,
needs a sultan.
so that I can
Like
govern
a
your people
grand
and
sultan
know
and a
the
vizier
difference
sounds way
between
cooler.
right and wrong. We trust in the counsel of the letter of James. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without
Like
finding fault.
I know, like as a Christian,
And it will
I'm
be
against
given to
Islam,
you.
but at least like
Pope Francis has reminded us how important it is to dream
at least
together.
at least the like the Ottomans and
ourselves, he
the
wrote,
Arab
"We risk
Arab
seeing
caliphates had
mirages,
some sort of style.
Things that are not there
Oh yeah, they had a lot of
Dreams, on the
beautiful
other hand,
architecture.
are built
Mm-hmm.
together.
I mean, because like they work with what they
Be
have
with
because
us,
in Islam
holy
it's
mystery
technically
of love,
it's
as we
immoral
dream
to depict
together.
the human form. They just
Help
use
us
all
under
these
our new
geometric
president
shapes, and a
to
lot of it looks really
reconcile
cool.
the people of our land,
Like I love
restore our
Arabesque
dream and
architecture.
invest it with peace and justice and the joy that is the overflow of love. To the glory of your name, forever. Amen.
You know what? I don't even. I'm just gonna say it. That was pretty fucking gay. I'm not gonna lie.
It was very fake. I mean, this whole thing is just a sham. But because again, who knows if Biden actually won the election? I know you're not allowed to say it, but
No. Well, Biden, anti-president Biden won the election.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of our national colors by the Armed Forces
I'm
Color
sitting.
Guard, the singing of our national anthem, and for the Pledge of Allegiance.
so did they have anything like the Pledge of Allegiance in Canada?
No.
What
There's
do
an
you think of
ongoing
it?
movement to ban the national anthem here. So, because it references
sad.
God.
I mean, I know Trudeau like cucked out and said, and he made it gender neutral, even though isn't a large part of it about like these? Isn't it like at Vimy? Isn't it about Vimy Ridge?
I think so. They changed it during World War One. But up to 5% of the casualties. Someone says it looks like the anniversary celebration of the USSR in 1990. It really does. This is so low
That's
energy.
a good point. That's a good point.
Let me see if I can find that Biden clip. Sorry, this is just really fucking boring.
So what's
Ladies and
Corn
gentlemen,
Pop doing right
here
now?
for the singing of our national anthem, accompanied by the President's own United States Marine Band, please welcome Lady
Oh
Gaga.
God. I'm sorry for saying it. Oh, I can't listen to this. Oh God, what is she wearing?
Okay, I'm gonna play a Biden
She
clip.
looks like she.
Chuck
Okay, she
Graham,
looks like
state
she should
senator's
be in the
here.
Hunger Games.
Quiet first, I'm playing a clip.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna mute this because I could get I could probably get a copyright strike for this. What a fucking what a freak show. Yeah, she does look like she's out of the Hunger Games. That's very true. You know what? Maybe I'll just put on the Corn Pop speech while he's doing this. Let's see.
At least a couple days ago, I got this. I got to post about how it was the 150th anniversary of the unification of Germany.
Yeah.
What a much more glorious thing that was.
I learned.
Okay, so instead of listening to Lady Gaga, we're gonna watch the Corn Pop speech.
Learned that it made a difference. This was the diving area, and I was one of the guards, and they weren't allowed to. There was a 3-meter board, and if you fell off sideways, you landed on the darn cement over there. And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did, and back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, "Hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off." Well, he came off, and he said, "I'll meet you outside." My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, "I'll be waiting for you." He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, "What am I going to do?" He said, "Come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, "You walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, 'You may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head.'" I said, "You kidding me?" He said, "No, if you don't come back." And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, "First of all," I said, "when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work." He said, "You apologize to me?" I said, "I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said." He said, "Okay," closed the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
Okay, there we go. I couldn't deal with Lady Gaga.
The Fire and Rescue Department.
That's something even more cringe. Someone doing sign language.
Justice for all.
I really hate the jerking off to the police nonsense. The police aren't your friends.
Well,
What you are all about to be part of America
I don't wanna get into
is
that
a
right now.
historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American,
Well,
and our
wow, we have
first
3 vice
woman
presidents.
Vice President, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina
Oh, no,
to
that's
ever
bad. She didn't
serve
say
on the
Latinx.
Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
What a fucking... You have all these, childish... Let me see, is Amy Klobuchar also childish?
The oath of office followed by musical
What does that
honors.
mean?
No children?
Oh, childless. Oh.
Probably.
Oh, did you see who the assistant health minister or secretary
Yeah,
is
it's
going
some
to be?
fucking tranny.
A Jewish transgender woman or transgender person who actively, who knowingly put senior citizens that had COVID back into the nursing homes that killed a lot of people.
Okay. I'm gonna turn you down a bit, Fritz, just so we can hear this.
Okay.
Oh, one second.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
The duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Oh, 1 second, I turned you down too much.
Hail Columbia is a genuinely better national anthem than Star Spangled Banner. Auf ans Bachdragon, auf ans Bachbereich schnell und...
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Rain,
Please welcome
stay
Jennifer
off of my
Lopez to
boxes.
perform This Land Is Your Land and America the Beautiful, accompanied by members of the President's own United States Marine Band.
Come on, guys. If there's a time for the plan is now.
Where's Q?
Yeah.
Now, anytime I think of Q, I just think of Q from Star Trek.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, is he just gonna appear and go, "Oh, welcome, welcome, Jean-Luc." I love that. I love Q so much.
Well, Russia's anthem references God,
Oh,
which I think is
she's
okay.
speaking Mexican. So God Save the Tsar is also pretty good.
I love how the British Union of Fascists just copied the Nazi Party's song and made English lyrics for it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like the lamest, most low effort, low energy fascist movement.
I do kind of have a sympathy for... I kind of liked Oswald mostly.
Yeah, it was just kind of lame. I'll be back in I'm just going to go to the bathroom before this starts.
Oh, well, Amy Klobuchar's back.
Well, that was great. The sun is shining, and Mr. President-elect, this is the first inauguration in the history of America where J-Lo was the warm-up act
Yeah.
for Chief Justice Roberts.
Lady, that's
With
not...
that, it
that's
is
not a
now
good
my
thing.
distinct honor to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Roberts, to administer the presidential oath to the next President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Please raise
Well-
your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
You're missing everything, Arjun.
Biden Jr. do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve,
Yeah, he's swearing on
defend
it right
the
now.
Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
All right.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
I thought it was supposed to be at 12. They can't even keep the fucking time right.
Well, at least that means we'll be over quick.
Yeah.
Stop the count. Ugh. You know what I think is funny, Arjun, is that especially like on Catholic Twitter or a lot of our circles I've been since so many is comprised of Catholic converts coming from, say, like English or non-traditionally Catholic nationalities. Basically, we're super Catholic, but we still hate the Irish.
Yep. Okay, everybody, let's hear what the genius has to say. What anti-President Biden's going to be saying.
This attack on my life has left me scarred and deformed.
Yes.
Wait, is my volume okay?
It's fine. I change your volume on my end, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Well, I was more asking chat, but.
Are we gonna like wait till 12 for this? Like, I remember
It's
like
how it masked.
last night I accidentally saw the a news feed and they were fact checking Trump's speech. So farewell
They can't
speech.
even let him just. Oh, there was one where it says, where Trump said, I was the only president that didn't start any new wars," and Vox literally had a headline saying, "Yes, Trump didn't start any new wars, but he was still the most pro-war president."
Yep. You can't hear Emperor Biden because he's not saying anything. Is this some like gay moment of silence? I'm just gonna say gay because I have.
My fellow Americans, a moment we have all been waiting for. It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Where's Hunter?
I don't know. He's probably like in some bathroom with a needle in his arm.
Try to buy a bunch of debitors.
To be honest. Let's see if they mention George Floyd. I love how George Floyd wasn't Person of the Year because he's outlived his
Chief Justice
usefulness.
Roberts, Vice President Harris, Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell,
Bulgars,
Vice President
Proudfoots,
my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope, of renewal
This is
and
such
resolve.
an Emperor Palpatine speech.
No.
Through a crucible for the
He's
ages,
way
America has
more.
been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people, has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious, democracy is fragile, and at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service. I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken, the oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country has taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself, a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, the rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
Good job, Richard Spencer. Fucking.
To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
And you want unity? What?
Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things.
The whole thing is just him bitching.
We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world.
Here's a question that I have.
I know, speaking of unity,
my issue with Trump is he didn't pass legislation to ensure ethics in video game
journalism. I know the forces that divide us
him.
are deep.
That's the real crime.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all are created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization.
You mean like what you just did 5 seconds ago?
Torn us apart.
Yep.
The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured.
Oh, base perennialism.
Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In
if only Trump had tweeted out Gamergate 2.0.
Enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward.
All this.
And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way.
the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury.
Which is what
No
you're trying to
progress.
provoke here.
Only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America. When we've acted together. And so today, at this time, in this place,
what the fuck
let's
is he
start
even
afresh.
talking about? This
All
is
of it.
like just rambling.
Let's begin to listen to one another again.
Well,
Hear one another. See one another. Show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path.
Well, it is, because of Black Lives Matter.
Every disagreement
Shut up.
doesn't have to be a
You're
cause
racist.
for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even
You mean
manufactured.
the media?
So Biden's a race realist now, based?
Yes.
My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than this. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome.
In a
as was
city
mentioned earlier,
occupied
completed
by
in
the
mid of Civil
military.
War,
I know. Look
when
around.
Union
The whole
itself was
country's
literally
on fire.
hanging in the balance.
Well,
Look around,
Yet
we
we
had to
endured.
fucking occupy the
We
entire
prevailed.
country.
with
Here
our
we
with our
stand,
beautiful McMilitary.
looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dreams.
Fuck Dr. King.
Here we stand, where 108 years
Yeah.
ago, at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today,
And that's where it all
we
went
mark
wrong.
the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national
When
office, Vice
history is always
President
shown
Kamala
whenever you
Harris.
have emancipated women,
Don't tell me
that
things
society
can't
collapses
change.
Very, very quickly.
The first woman in history elected to.
Here we stand.
I guess. I don't know.
Across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand, just days
We're on
after the
police
riots
full-on rambling
thought they
mode.
could use violence to silence the will of the people,
Well, they did.
to stop the
you
work
did.
of our democracy.
They
to
murdered
drive
a
us from this
14-year
sacred ground.
Air Force
It
female
did
veteran.
not happen.
Guys, America was
it will
founded.
never happen. Not
by,
today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not
America
ever.
was founded through nonviolent means, guys. There was no political violence involved in the revolution.
Nope. World War II
All
was
those
won
who
by
supported
yelling
our
at Hitler.
campaign,
Mm-hmm.
I'm humbled by the faith you've placed in us.
No, violence is
To all
only
those who
okay
did
when
not
it's against
support us, let me
Nazis.
say
Who's a
this.
Nazi? Everybody I don't like.
Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart.
Someone said they flagged
If you
the
still
stream.
disagree,
Shut the fuck up.
so be it. That's democracy. That's America. The right to dissent peaceably within the guardrails of our republic is perhaps this nation's greatest strength. Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for
Not true.
all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for
Yeah.
those who did.
Why you just call them domestic terrorists?
Many centuries ago,
Oh,
St. Augustine, a saint of my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined
Don't
by
bring
the
St.
common
Augustine
objects
into
of their
this.
love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love? Define us
materialism.
as Americans.
Nothing.
I think we know. Opportunity,
No.
security, liberty, dignity, respect, honor, and yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility.
What is this gay shit?
As citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation. To defend the truth and defeat the lies.
Would have been better if we had gotten angry,
Look,
coked up Joe Biden.
I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear
Yes,
and
because of
trepidation.
you.
Yeah, well, that's the
I
whole
understand
speech.
they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed staring at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care?
Why aren't
Can I
cat
kill
girls
my-
real?
Thinking
Can I
about
kill
their
my unborn
families,
baby?
about what comes next. I promise you, I get it.
No, you don't. Piece
But
of
the
shit.
answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions.
We need a
distrusting
national
those who don't
lockdown,
look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same
And
sources
we
you
need
do.
to call half
What?
the
We
country
must
evil
end this
terrorists.
uncivil war.
But you just
The pit's
condemn
red
people
against
who
blue.
watch news different than you.
Rural versus urban, or rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts.
This is such an
If
Orwellian
we
speech.
show a little tolerance and humility.
Well, you just
I can almost
you just called
We're
them
willing to
domestic
stand in the other
terrorists.
person's shoes, as my mom
I can
would
almost
say,
see
just
Xi
for a moment,
Jinping's puppet
stand in
strings
their
around
shoes.
him.
Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand.
I'm gonna be honest. At the
Gotta
beginning, this was
do
like
for one
a
another.
5 out of 10.
If
This is one of the most
are
like
this way, our country
rambling,
will be stronger,
incoherent things I've ever
prosperous.
seen.
more ready for the future, and we can still disagree. My fellow Americans,
No, it's
in the work
what a
ahead of us,
fucking piece of shit.
we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere.
I hate this fucking
through this dark
passive
winter.
aggressive pussy shit.
We're
Just
entering
say you're
what's
gonna
gonna
put
be
us in
the
fucking
toughest and
camps.
deadliest period of
Stop
the virus.
pretending to be like
We must
Mr.
set aside
Grandpa.
politics and finally face
Well, yeah,
this
he's trying to
pandemic as
pretend
one
he's the nice
nation.
grandpa, but also,
One
globalist
nation.
super soldier.
And I promise you this, as the Bible says,
No.
weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together.
What does the
Together.
Bible say about the fate of sexual
Look,
degenerates, Biden?
All my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here, we all understand the world is watching.
How you
Watching all of
avoid
us today.
dividing people is by
Here's
kicking
my message to those
everyone
beyond our
who you
borders.
disagree with out of the public sphere
America has been
and force them
tested.
into online ghettos.
And we've come out stronger for
And
it.
then into FEMA camps.
Yeah.
We will repair
You
our
get rid of all the
alliances
people that disagree with
and
you, then you have
engage
unity.
with the world once again. Not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. And will lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. We'll be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security.
Code word for
Look, you all
more
know we've been
bombing in the
through
Middle
so
East.
much in this nation.
Look at Bernie.
In my first act as president, I'd
He
like to
looks
ask you to
done.
join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all
Bernie's
those that
such
we
a
lost
cock.
in this past year to the
Like
pandemic.
he let them
Those
steal it from him twice.
400,000
Mm-hmm.
fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters.
He's
friends,
using gendered
neighbors, and
language.
coworkers.
Shut him
Okay, like
We'll honor
let's
them
just put aside that
for
this is
becoming the
Biden and I
people and the
disagree with him
nation
ideologically.
we know
This
we
is
can
such
and
an
should be.
incoherent speech.
So I ask you,
Okay, people
Yeah,
in the
I-
chat,
Say a
give
silent
us
prayer
like a
for those who've
score
lost
out
their
of
lives
10
and
on
those
what
left
you think
behind
this speech
and for our
is.
country.
It's just like so low energy and like means nothing.
Amen. Folks, this is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth, a raging virus, growing inequity, the sting of systemic racism, a climate in crisis, America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up? All of us?
No.
Yeah, but the Corn
It's time
Pop
for
one
boldness.
was funny. This
But
is
there's so
just,
much to do.
like rambling and incoherent.
this is certain.
This is like one of my streams.
I promise you, we will be judged, you and I,
He sounds
by how
drunk.
we resolve these cascading
Well, I
crises
think
of
the
our era.
Adderall they hot them up on
We will
is
rise to the occasion is the question.
wearing
Will
off.
we master?
Hell, if I ever
This
became
rare
president,
and
I
difficult hour.
would absolutely.
Will we
be
meet our
drinking during
obligations
my- I
and
would be
pass
drinking
along a
while
new and
giving
better
the
world to
speech.
our children?
The only good thing about
I
this
believe
is
we
I'm
must.
getting
I'm sure
rain
you
while
do
we're
as well.
talking.
I believe we will. And when we do,
I don't have Oliver with me, so.
we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound
you like
something
dogs,
like a
Arjun?
song that means
I
a
like
lot to me.
dogs. Dogs are just kind of too much of
It's
a
called
hassle.
American
Yeah,
Anthem.
I would prefer
There's
cats,
one
but
verse
but
that
I
stands
won't be able
out,
to get one
at
until
least
I
for
move
me.
out.
Well,
goes
also,
like
it
this.
depends where you live. If you have a
The
backyard
work
or
and
not.
prayers of century.
Yeah, and
that brought
especially a
us to
big
this
dog
day.
like Oliver's a golden retriever,
What
so
shall
they need
be
a lot
our
of
legacy?
exercise. Like
What
we
will
have
our
like a
children
huge
say?
amount of, we have a big wood in our
Let
backyard.
me know
so
in my
I
heart
can let it run around
when
out
my
there.
days are through, America,
America.
I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best,
Well, if we haven't murdered them in
they
the
did
womb
their
first.
duty,
Like,
they healed the broken land.
it's just like he
My
just.
fellow Americans, I
It
close
sounds
the
like he
day
just
where I
took
began,
parts from like other
with the
bad
sacred oath.
speeches and copied and pasted
Before
them
God
together.
and all of
It's
you,
like Fallout
I
3
give
where you
you my
have John
word.
Henry Eden as
I
president
will
and all
always
his
level with you.
speeches
Yeah,
are
but
just
his
taken
speeches
directly
are
from
way
I
him.
will
better
defend the
than this.
Constitution.
That's true.
I'll
Because he actually
defend
took
our
interesting
democracy.
quotes.
And the
This is
voice
like
acting
defend
is way
America.
better.
I will
Yeah,
give all,
Malcolm McDowell, he's great.
all of you, keep everything you
There's
I
a
do
there's like a baking
in
of
your service.
the
Thinking
expansion
not of power,
to
but of possibilities,
Red Alert 3,
not of
and
personal
he's,
interest,
like,
but the
president
public
of the
good. And
EU and
together,
that.
we
And like
shall
he says,
write
this
an
is a really
American
good
story
game, but I don't know
of
anything
hope,
about it.
not fear, of unity, not division, of light,
I'm
not
gonna play a
darkness.
Kane speech after
A
this.
story of decency and dignity,
Have you seen
love
the
and
image
healing,
where it's Time Magazine's Person of the
greatness
Year
and
and it's
goodness.
Kane?
Yeah.
May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come
What
that
is
we
he
answer the call of history.
Like,
we
what
met
is
the
this?
moment.
We have
Democracy,
everything
hope,
is just, we have
truth,
to
and
step
justice
up.
did
We
not
have to
die on
be
our watch,
good.
but thrive.
We have to be better for
that
our
America
children.
secured liberty
Where's
at home
Corn
and
Pop?
stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our
Like,
forebears.
he just keeps
one
repeating
another
himself.
and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May
Prussia?
God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
Apparently Trump gave a pardon even when he was en route to Florida. I didn't even know he was allowed to do that. I thought he was fully done.
That's awesome. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna play a CNC clip because this is the fucking worst shit ever.
He pardoned
Quiet,
Ted
Fritz.
Kaczynski.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. I muted.
Greatest joy that I bring you, Cain.
This morning was the most glorious morning in the history of the earth. Peace is upon us. A gift to every man, woman, and child from the Brotherhood of Nod. Victory. Not just for our people, but for our species.
Really?
The time for questioning is over. Rising from our trenches, our bunkers, our factories, we must all now partake in the technology of peace. One purpose, one vision. Tiberium is the way and the life. Today the sun rises on a new world and a new people. The end is the beginning.
Okay, there you go. It's...
Amazing grace, how
Can I be honest? I don't like Amazing Grace very much as a song.
It was probably good originally, but it's become cringe.
Yeah.
A wretch like me, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. When we've been there,
I will say Outlying Zion is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Years, bright shining.
Oh, hopefully this is almost over.
The sun.
No, muted again. No more singing.
We've no.
Oh, do you remember when during Trump's inauguration, I watched part of Sargon's stream, and he like spurred out that they were doing a prayer and like muted the whole stream because he was so upset about people were praying during the inauguration.
I'm sorry, guys, if I'm talking over this or playing like clips or shit.
But the people at home.
It's just really gay.
As one.
I would not be. I'm not sorry. I don't want to listen to this.
Why did he stop mid, like...
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now
God probably is very upset about this.
I think God is upset like everything.
That is his great patience, that he must be in constant disappointment.
Yep.
What? Oh, I thought something had gone wrong for a second. Like, what is Garth Brooks doing?
How low energy is this?
Hard not to be reminded of President Obama's singing that same song at the Mother Emanuel Church.
It's like, this is like late Roman Empire, or late Soviet
a song
Union.
that in our culture is as close to both poetry and
No, that had
prayer
way
as
better
you could
aesthetics.
possibly come.
Corn Horn says
and we're
this
gonna
is like a
finish
school
with
play
those
that
two
no one
things.
likes
Let me
wants to be in.
introduce
It
Amanda
be
Gorman,
at. Yes,
our
literally,
nation's
it's like the
first
shitty
ever
Christmas concert we had to
National
attend.
Poet Laureate.
The
when
fucking
you're a kid,
poem.
you have-
The poem is going to be shit. The poem is always the worst aspect.
Poetry has gone so downhill. Oh my god. Like, I despise Maya Angelou. She's no Kipling. Oh, look at us.
All I can say is black and white cat lives matter.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. M.
Why do they keep using gendered
Americans
language? What's wrong with
and
these people?
The world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade?
What the fuck is wrong
the
with her
loss
voice?
We carry a sea we must
It's like a
wade,
fucking
we
female
brave
Christopher
the belly
Walken.
of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace.
Isn't
and
always
the norms
peace.
and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet, The dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother
Yes,
can
thanks,
dream
sexual
of
revolution.
becoming
Yeah, we
president,
need more single
only to
mothers.
find herself reciting for one.
We need more divorces, right?
And yes,
Well, my
we
family
are
got kicked out
far
of
from
Russia
polished,
by
far from
commies,
pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving
Wait,
to
does that
form
mean-
a union that
does
is
that mean you could be
perfect.
Jewish?
No, I have
We
0%
are striving
Jewish.
to
They
forge
were
or union
they were
with
German Mennonites.
purpose, to
Oh.
compose a country committed to all cultures,
That's right, Germans used to
colors,
basically be everywhere.
characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first.
We
must
close the
first put
divide by
differences
banning everybody
aside.
from
We lay
everything
down
and
our
preventing
arms so
any
we can
kind of
reach out
public
our arms
discourse.
to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all.
Harm to
Let
none,
the
unless we
globe,
call you a
if
Nazi.
nothing else, say
Okay, people.
this
I'm
is
sorry I'm
true.
talking over her, but I just
That
I have
even
to.
as
This
we
is the worst.
grieved, we grew.
Okay,
that even
people
as
in
we
the chat,
hurt,
press
we
1
hoped
if
that
Biden
even
was
as
worse.
we're tired, we tried that we'll forever be
Press
tied
2 if
together,
this is worse.
victorious. Not because we will never again know
Modern
defeat,
poetry just sounds
but
so
because we will
patronizing. I
never
hate it.
again sow division.
Once again, if 1
Scripture
for
tells
Biden's
us to
speech was
envision
worse,
that
2
everyone
that
shall
this
sit
is
under
worse.
their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade,
At
but
least
in all
Biden's
the
thing can make you
bridges
fall
we've
asleep.
made.
This just
That
makes you annoyed.
is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very
That
nearly
all sounds
succeeded.
great. I want to delay
But while
democracy.
democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this
Except when
truth,
it is.
in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us.
This is a
is
poem?
the era of just redemption. We
This is
feared
just
it
a
at
speech.
its
This is the
inception. We
poem.
did not
There's
feel
nothing-
prepared to be the heirs of
called
such a
freeform art, and
terrifying
it's art.
hour, but within it we
Appreciate
found
the
the
art.
power to author a new chapter, to offer hope
Okay.
and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail
this was a
over
fucking
catastrophe? Now
Like,
we assert.
Just read some
how
Paradise
could
Lost or read some
catastrophe
Shakespeare or
possibly
something like that.
prevail
No,
over
they're
us?
white, you can't do that.
We will not march
Like-
back to
Are you
what
racist?
was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised.
I'm sure
but
there's
whole,
like
benevolent,
I'd rather
but bold,
have like
fierce,
50
and
Cent
free.
rap
We will
about
not be
bitches and
turned
hoes than
around
this.
or interrupted
That would
by
be great.
intimidation.
No, that would be
because
funny.
We know our inaction
I'd take,
and
like,
inertia will
Beyonce
be the
over
inheritance
this.
of the next generation. Our blenders become
Someone says
their
this is like a
burdens,
wall
but
text
one
Reddit
thing
post.
is
Yes,
certain.
it is, with no spaces.
If we merge mercy
She gives a
with
speech,
might,
"Be me,
and might
be in third
with
grade."
right, then love becomes
Give a
our
cringy
legacy,
like quote from
and
Martin Luther King
change
Jr.
Our
At
children's
least he could speak in
birthright.
complete sentences.
So let us leave
I would
behind
call-
a
I always
country
call him
better
Martin
than the
Lucifer
one
King.
we were left with. Every breath from my bronze pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into
No,
a
poems don't
wondrous
need to
one. We will
rhyme, but it's
rise
shit.
from the
That's the
gold-limb
problem.
hills of the west. We will rise from the wind-swept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed
peaceful
cities
revolution.
of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile,
What the
and recover
fuck
in
is
every
this?
known nook of our nation, in every corner
Like-
called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful when day comes.
Is she,
we
like, basically
step
saying we're
out
going
of
to
the
conquer the
shade,
world or
aflame
something?
And the
unafraid,
stuff,
a new dawn
and then the
blooms
part of the
as we
country,
free
and the
it.
stuff from
For
that
there
part
was
of the country,
always light,
and these
if
people,
only we're
and that
brave enough
people,
to see
and
it. If only we're brave enough
Oh,
to
this,
be
this
it.
woman absolutely has a white boyfriend. Are you kidding me?
wow. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the people who are fucking running the country now. Just keep that in mind. Well, I mean, they have even more power.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda Gorman. Now for our benediction, I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Dr. Sylvester Beeman, the pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church
this is going to be
Wilmington,
shit.
Delaware,
Oh.
a friend of President Biden for 30 years.
Maybe he'll rant about Israel. That's the only good thing to come out of these.
He's a Hebrew Israelite.
That would be based. Okay.
African Americans deserve way better than their own denominations. They really do. I feel really bad that like they don't have. I mean, I want everybody to be Catholic.
As a nation and people of faith gathered in this historical moment, let us unite in prayer. God, we gather under the beauty of your holiness and the holiness of your beauty.
And the A woman and the amen.
Face, your smile, your warm embrace. We petition you once more in this celebration.
Would you rather have an imam just start saying the
Shahada for divine
instead?
favor upon our president.
I'd rather have an imam just
Joseph
yelling
Biden,
Allah Akbar.
and our
That would
First
be
Lady,
way better.
Dr. Jill Biden.
Never thought I'd die
Is she
side by
like?
side.
So can someone red pill me on the doctor
you
thing? Because isn't she not a doctor?
Favor upon our vice
No,
president.
I think she has a PhD, but it's
Kamala
not in like
Harris,
STEM.
And our second
Okay,
gentleman,
well, I still consider
Doug
that a
Emhoff,
doctor.
and their family.
I think if you have
More
a
than
PhD,
ever.
you're a doctor.
More
It is
than
weird because my older brother is technically
They
a doctor,
in our
but I
nation
mean he has a degree in engineering.
need you. We need you, for in you we discover our common humanity. In our common humanity, we will seek out the wounded and bind their wounds. We will seek healing for those who are sick and diseased.
You know what? This is less bad than the previous.
We will
two.
mourn our dead. We will befriend the lonely, the least, and the left out. We will share our abundance with those who are hungry. We will do justly to the oppressed, acknowledge sin, and seek forgiveness, thus grasping reconciliation. In discovering our humanity, we will seek the good in and for all our neighbors.
No, you won't.
We will love the unlovable.
Reconciliation always
remove
means,
the stigma of the
here's
so-called
how the horrible
untouchables.
things white
Reconciliation
We will care
makes
for our most
taking
vulnerable,
like
our
money
children,
away from white
the elderly,
people and giving it to
emotionally
blacks.
challenged, and the poor.
Like a lot of the
We will
liberal
seek
Protestants
rehabilitation
that literally say
beyond
that,
correction.
like, they all but basically
We'll
say white
extend
people have
opportunities
extra
to
sin,
those locked
and they can
out of
never get rid
opportunity.
of it.
We will make friends
It's the most evil thing
of our
It's-
enemies.
like,
Okay,
it's
guys,
we're
in the
saying
chat, how
friends
does this compare to Biden in that like
of our
poet?
enemies.
Who's worse?
People, your people, shall no longer raise up weapons against one another. We will rather use our resources for the national good and become a beacon of life and goodwill to the
Thing
world.
is, how many
And
affairs do you
neither
think this guy
shall
is
we
having
learn
right at the
hatred
moment?
anymore. We will lie down in peace.
That's a little
not
mean, but
make our neighbors
it's unfortunately
afraid.
very common among a
In
lot of
you,
Protestants,
O God,
especially black Protestant
we
churches.
discover our humanity. In our humanity, we discover our commonness. Beyond the difference of color,
Communist.
creed, origin, political party,
No, I don't think you said
ideology,
that.
geography, and personal preferences. We'll become greater stewards of your environment, preserving the land, reaping from it a sustainable harvest, and securing its wonder and miracle-giving power for generations to come. This is our benediction, that from these hallowed grounds, where slaves labored to build this shrine and citadel
Did they?
to liberty and democracy,
I don't know. Maybe
let
they
us
did.
all acknowledge
It'd be funny if they did.
from the indigenous Native American
Fuck them.
to those who recently received their citizenship, from the African American to those whose foreparents came from Europe and every corner of the globe,
The globe.
from the wealthy to those struggling to make it.
He's not a flat
Every
earther,
human
he's not
being,
racist at
regardless
all.
of their choices, that this is our country. As such, teach us, O God. As such, teach us, O God, to live in it, love in it.
Someone's
be healed
comparing
from
him
it,
to Mobutu.
and reconcile
It sounds like a
to
Hitler
one
speech,
another
to
in
be
it,
honest.
lest we miss kingdom's goal.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. This is like boring and
majesty,
incoherent, but it doesn't really like
dominion
offend
and
me.
power.
It's like a really
forever.
generic black Christian speech.
Hallelujah.
So
Glory, hallelujah. In the strong
he looks
name
like a
of our
Metal Gear
collective
Solid
faith.
character.
Amen.
Oh, did you ever play Death Stranding?
No.
Please remain
Yeah, I
standing
saw
as the
someone
Armed
stream
Forces
it. It
Color
was, like,
Guard
the worst
retires
thing
our
I've ever
national
seen.
colors.
It looked really boring. I was kind of interested in it for a while, but then I just like.
I mean, if you want just total unhinged, rambling Kojima incoherent nonsense, it's kind of great.
AKA literally everything Kojima's ever made. Like.
Did you ever play any of the Final Fantasy games?
No.
No. I recently started Final Fantasy 15. I've never played one before. I actually kind of like it. Oh, yeah. Trump created the Space Force. People say they want to rename it to the Federation. It's like, oh.
What's left on this? Is this like over yet?
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and remain in your seats while the president and official party depart the platform. For safety reasons, your ushers will release your section in an organized manner, following the playing of our national march.
You know what?
The Stars
I
and
know what
Stripes
speech I'm
forever.
gonna play.
Okay, does anybody else think that this song right now they're playing sounds like it belongs in the circus?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
this-
Quiet for a minute. I'm gonna play. I think a more appropriate rambling speech.
Please do.
Donnie was a good bowler and a good man. He was one of us. He was a man who loved the outdoors and bowling. And as a surfer, he explored the beaches of Southern California from La Jolla to Leo Carrillo and up to Pismo. He died, as so many young men of his generation before his time. In your wisdom, Lord, you took him. As you took so many bright, flowering young men at Quezon, at Londoc, at Hill 364. These young men gave their lives. So did Donnie. Donnie who loved bowling. And so, Theodore Donald Karabatsos, in accordance with what we think your dying wishes might well have been, we commit your final mortal remains to the bosom of the Pacific Ocean, which you loved so well. Good night, sweet prince. Oh shit, dude, I'm sorry. Goddamn wind. Fuck.
God damn it, Walter. You fucking asshole.
Dude, I'm sorry.
It's a fucking travesty with you, man.
I'm sorry, it was an accident.
What was that shit about Vietnam?
Dude, I'm sorry.
What the fuck? Does anything have to do with Vietnam?
Dude, I'm
what
sorry.
the fuck are you talking
That's
about?
pretty good.
Dude,
Was that
I'm
the Big
sorry.
Lebowski?
Yes.
I never saw that movie.
Fucking.
Well, this was actually mercifully short.
Fuck, Walter.
Come on, dude.
There we go. I think we could all agree with Bout One. So I'm just gonna end this because this is like the I can't take this anymore and I think it's over. Thanks for coming on, Fritz. Sorry guys for the audio
it was
issues,
fun.
but yeah.
Yeah, I hope we were able to make this a little more bearable for you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awful.
I mean, again, I just said it was very low energy, and it was like, at least it felt mercifully short.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're playing more circus music.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
later.
God bless. Have a good day.
Well, everybody, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really know what else to say. That was at least kind of like boring and lame. I mean, that's better than, I guess, it being like a dumpster fire. But I mean, I guess there was no plan. Nothing happened. It was kind of boring shit. Anyways, guys, God bless.